Coad, serving the hottest and coldest takes in Vandy sports radio. I'm Bobby Kent, alongside Nathan Coad. Wherever you are listening, we are excited to have you. Before we get started today, though, we do have an exciting announcement. Mark Delastrito, and if you noticed, he was on our show last week, is going to be our third co-host of Kent and Coad. So we're excited for that next week. All right, so let's dive into the top stories of this week. Number one, College Football Playoff Championship recap. LSU dominated yet again, winning 42-25 over Clemson. Nate, you have an instant reaction to this game?
Well, honestly, the first half was closer than I thought. I didn't think Clemson. I no disrespect to Clemson as a team, but in a program, but I just thought this LSU team would blow them out of the water in the first half, and they really kept it close. They had the lead for a while in the first half, and then LSU just overwhelmed them in the second half, which I think you'd expect. Obviously, Clemson's the defending national champions. They have a great program,
129 straight.
Yeah, great quarterback. But this LSU team was that was a really special team, and that was a really fun team to watch this entire season. And I kind of expected them to eventually take care of business like they did in the second half. And you saw Joe Burrow have another sensational game.
It's becoming regular for him at this point.
Is that average? Is 463 yards and 5 passing touchdowns like average for him at this point?
It feels like it.
He almost, the only thing I saw from him was that near pick six that he threw, which you didn't see that really at all this season. But, it's not even a pick six. That's such nitpicking at this point. Because he's been so great this season, and he's obviously the clear consensus number one pick in the draft.
What's funny is I actually heard from a guy from Nick Wright on Fox Sports 1 said that he doesn't see that Joe Burrow does anything great. He thinks he just does things good. He's good at a lot of things. And he said he's kind of like a rich man's Andy Dalton, which I don't agree with at all. I have never seen a quarterback in college be able to drop a deep pass in there like Joe Burrow can. And within the tightest windows. And the man can also extend plays like an Aaron Rodgers type or a Russell Wilson type. And I know there are questions about his arm strength, but I'm pretty sure he's answered those throughout in these games. You just play back the tape of the game last night. He had a great outing.
Well, the one thing, I don't like that. I don't want to nitpick because I have a lot of respect for Joe Burrow, and I have seen, and he was absolutely sensational this season. But the one question you have, I see what Nick Wright's getting at, to an extent, because Joe Burrow is really good at a lot of different things. And, it's not like he's making, highlight throws every drive, but you don't expect that, obviously. You see him make a lot of great throws where you go, wow, that was, a great
That's a future number one overall pick right there.
You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have that same, it's hard to describe almost, because he doesn't have that same wow factor as, say, a Deshaun Watson in college. You know what I'm saying? Because you do watch Joe Burrow throw a lot of slants, checkdowns, and things like that.
That's part of their offense.
He's not always in that Superman mode. I think do you think of immediately obviously Deshaun Watson was in college. He's not like that kind of Superman guy all the time. You see him making simple throws, which I think is also a good thing. At the next level, look at Tom Brady, especially at this point in his career. I know we've gone back and forth about what is Tom Brady at this point in his career, but the check down and things like that have been staples of Tom Brady's that offensive scheme throughout his entire career, and he's the GOAT. So I don't think that ability that Joe Burrow doing that takes away anything from him, because you see him make the dynamic downfield plays in addition to those other plays. But back to my one question about him is if the one thing is you think about the guys that he's playing with in college, because they had the best offensive line in the country this year.
Incredible receivers.
They had Jamar Chase, who won the Biletnikoff Award, who's only 19 years old and won the Biletnikoff Award. You have Justin Jefferson, who's a first-round pick.
Thaddeus Moss.
You have Thaddeus Moss, who's probably the best tight end in the country, was the best tight end in the country this season. So, I mean, that's the one. And you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the backfield, who is a top 5 running back in the country this year. And so the one thing you have to think about is, he's playing with those guys against
potentially
corners and defensive players who are not
as big as strong,
exactly,
as physical.
And
Clemson
Clemson has NFL prospects on that defense, but there's still not the same kind of players that he's going to be playing against right away in the NFL. So that's the only. I think that's a fair question that you have with any quarterback transitioning.
No,
but I think
the
thing that makes it a little different with Joe about me is I feel like the discrepancy between the talent that he's playing with on offense and the talent that he's facing up against on defense is that discrepancy in talent is larger than, you know what I'm saying? Than
so I agree. So it probably makes some,
which is no knock on him, because obviously, why would you? It's not a knock on him at all.
No, and he can't control who he gets at wide receiver.
Exactly.
And he's been lucky to be gifted with those guys, but it probably does make some of those plays
easier
or look more spectacular, because a guy like Jamar Chase is going to go up and go get that ball
and
high point the ball and get it,
exactly,
and make that catch. Versus you might necessarily not have that, and you get to an NFL team with guys who may be off practice squad or something, or didn't go to these
talent, the difference in talent between them.
Or didn't go to these top tier colleges like a Bama, like a LSU, like Ohio State, like a Clemson. You know what I mean? So I do wonder what part of it was his supporting cast.
Well, obviously the supporting cast helped. I'm not trying to put a knock on him at all whatsoever.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just saying, that's not a question mark, but it's something that I think he's going to have to adjust to, because the amount of separation and the ability to, obviously, like, the receivers that he's playing with in the NFL will be as good or better than the receivers he's playing with at LSU. The thing is, the corners and the safeties are going to be much better,
smarter,
much better and more experienced and physically gifted relative to the safeties and corners he's playing against in college. So that advantage that his receivers have goes away.
Yeah, and you can see him make a lot more mistakes. Early on in his career as he adjusts.
So that's just a learning curve. I mean, I don't know on him. I'm kind of skeptical of any young quarterback coming into the NFL, but I don't know. I'm really torn on Joe Burrow, because I don't want to knock him, but I also don't want to say I think he's going to be like the savior of the Bengals.
Yeah, and I don't like to use that term "can't miss" prospect. I feel like you hear that a lot around media when it's
especially with
quarterbacks. Quarterbacks, exactly.
There are certain players you can't miss on, but a quarterback I think you can miss on.
Yes, I think so too. Like there's like a Nick Bosa coming out of the draft, or a Joey Bosa coming out of the draft at defensive end. You can't miss on that guy.
Exactly.
That guy is going to be good. I don't think I can remember the last quarterback that was billed a can't miss, except for Deshaun Watson by his coach, calling Michael Jordan, but which he can still very much live up to. But like an Andrew Luck, I remember people saying Andrew Luck was a can't miss guy.
Yes.
And obviously Andrew Luck turned out to be very good, but I'm always pretty skeptical about these can't miss prospects. I feel like it puts a lot of pressure on these guys. I feel like any little slip up they have, people are instantly willing to just say he's not good, whatever. So I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical about that. But let's transition to another guy that is not coming out this year, but after next year, most likely will
be coming out.
Trevor Lawrence. He kind of had an uncharacteristic performance. He was 18 of 37 for 234 yards and no touchdowns.
Lost a fumble too. It's the first loss in his college career, so we probably will only do good things to help him in his future, potentially professionally. But he was sensational against Ohio State and against Alabama in the national championship last year, so we know he can show up in big situations. And he's also sort of this big frame quarterback that sort of eye candy that the scouts just look at and just fawn over. Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, and if you can chime in if you have any more opinions on this, but he also He also missed throws. He overthrew a lot of.
No, that was bad. That was uncharacteristic. He did not.
His timing was off on certain throws. I remember him trying to throw a back shoulder to the sideline to one of his receivers. I forget who it was, Ross or Higgins, whatever, doesn't matter. And he sailed it right into the ground. So not even giving his guy a chance to make that play. So those are uncharacteristic. And I don't know if you can consider it nerves or anything, which concerns me a little bit, because he had a national championship last year, so he understands what that situation is like. But maybe the LSU defense is really that good that put a lot of pressure on him.
Definitively not. That defense was bad this year, for the most part. I mean, they played well. The LSU defense played well yesterday. But think about the game against Vanderbilt, Ole Miss.
Allowed 38 to Vanderbilt.
I mean, they have superstars on that defense with Stingley.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really high on Stingley. He's a true freshman. I mean, Grant Delpit gets hyped up a lot, but I'm not really that high on. He's a great tackler. I'm not really that high on him, though. I mean, that defense it's not anything special, but I'm not going to question Trevor Lawrence because that's the first loss of his college career, and like you said, he was sensational against Alabama last year in the national championship. He was really good against Ohio State. Although the thing about the Ohio State game is he didn't throw the ball. It was his legs against Ohio State. He didn't do anything particularly special with his arm.
And then he follows that up again with the national championship game like this, where he wasn't accurate, wasn't necessarily on point as much as he did make some good throws, but he didn't necessarily wasn't as on point as he usually is.
No, I'm not going to question him though, because you've seen him be clutch, right? You've seen that in a national championship game. They absolutely throttled Alabama.
In his freshman year.
Yeah. And, he hasn't lost before, and people have bad days. I mean, I don't know if I can chalk it up just to that because it's a national championship game, and I feel like having a bad day isn't really a good excuse in a national championship game. But that was a really uncharacteristic performance from him. Mm-hmm. The only thing I'm wondering is how that affects him mentally going forward, because he can go one of two ways with this. It's either good for him
and it's fuel,
and he uses it to work in the off season, and honestly he uses his fuel in the off season, and then next year he just forgets about it and goes to work, right? Mm-hmm. That fuels him in the off season. That shouldn't be what's driving him all season, though. I don't think. I think the way he should go is use it as motivation in the off season and work hard and get ready for next season, and then kind of just flush his brain, focus for next season, and ball out. But the other way that he can go with this is it destroys his confidence and I don't want to see ego,
and then
but I think as a quarterback you need an ego to be an elite quarterback. But I think the one thing that you don't want to do is have it destroy his confidence and weigh on him next season. Because it's hard for a guy who has, what did he lose in high school? 2 games, I think. He lost 2 games in high school, and he hadn't lost before last night in college. So he's lost 3 times in his career. And the other thing to remember is you really haven't seen him in college face that many critical situation tight games. I mean, you have with
North Carolina this year.
North Carolina and Ohio State, I guess.
But by virtue of being in the ACC, where they
you don't see him exactly. You steamroll teams all season, which I think does a lot to build up your comp. We've never seen Trevor Lawrence. The thing we've never seen Trevor Lawrence do in college is bounce back from a loss, and we're not going to get to see that until next year. And who do they open with next year? Probably someone bad.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be interesting to see how he responds to this adversity.
The Akron Zips.
Okay, so whoever their first big legit game is next year, it'll be interesting to see how he actually responds to some adversity, because he hasn't he's had to face in-game adversity in college, but he's never had to face the adversity of losing a game. So that'll be interesting to see how he responds to that. But I don't. That was uncharacteristic, but I don't question his ability at all.
All right, so let's do a quick little look ahead to next year. LSU is losing some pretty key players to the draft, most obviously Burrow. But one thing I think is maybe almost more important, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but just came out today, just like the past hour, Joe Brady, their passing game coordinator, is going to the NFL.
Okay.
The Panthers are hiring him away from LSU. So
that's interesting.
That's huge.
Especially because they're going to have a guy playing quarterback who, well, I've heard that they might try to get a transfer. They might try to get Derrick Henry.
The running back?
Or Derrick King.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
They might try to get Derrick King from Houston.
Oh.
Which this is an interesting story too, because he basically, I think he shut himself down earlier this year.
Oh, he did. I remember this.
Yeah,
yes,
he just he got hurt and he just kind of decided to redshirt his senior year basically, and then he decided
to keep a year of eligibility.
Yeah. So what he did is he got hurt, and I don't know how major or minor the injury really was, but the season was kind of going in the tank, and he had an injury, and he just decided to shut it down for the year, and then he redshirted this year to get a year of eligibility back in his senior year, and then he decided to just leave the program and enter the transfer portal. So it's a little questionable morally, but anyways, I've heard LSU might try to bring him in, which would be really interesting if they can do that. Otherwise, they're going to be starting a guy who has no experience without Joe Brady there, who's basically the architect of this offense, really, if we're being honest. But Delpit can still come back, Justin Jefferson can still come back, Thaddeus Moss can still come back, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire can still come back. But I don't think
what else do you have to achieve?
Moss might come back.
Improve his draft stock?
To improve his stock, because he would be one of the centerpieces of the offense next year. But the other three guys I think they're all gone. But the other thing is Jamar Chase is back because he's only a sophomore. So you still got that going for you. I think that you will see a decline from LSU, though. Although
they might regress back to that 10-win team that we had seen for years.
Which isn't a bad thing necessarily. I mean, that's not
their success will not be sustained, I don't think.
I don't think so either. Just because of, I mean, they've historically been up and down, so we'll see about that.
I agree with you on that. And then let's talk a little bit.
What?
Okay, do you want to talk about the NFL?
Well, no.
Or do you want to talk more about college?
No, more college. Let's keep it going.
Let's do that. More college.
It's only 5:22.
Sorry, I'm just trying to whisper to him across the computer over here. In our studio, I'll be fully transparent. So let's think about it from Clemson's point of view. They still have Trevor Lawrence, which gives you a chance in the ACC.
That gives you a chance no matter what. They're going to steamroll the ACC.
You know what their schedule is next year? Akron, maybe the worst team in the FBS.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, they'll win that one.
Okay, it's Notre
The
Dame.
Citadel Bulldogs, who, by the way, almost upset Alabama a couple years ago.
Yep.
At halftime. South Carolina Gamecocks, that should be an easy win. Boston College, Louisville, NC State, Syracuse, Virginia, Florida State, Wake Forest, and Georgia Tech.
And the ACC championship against some garbage team from the other division.
Okay, I wouldn't go far as saying garbage. ACC will probably have a second team that we're all like,
okay. They'll have another Virginia 9-4 and bums that just get destroyed in the ACC championship.
Okay.
Cool.
It was 14-14 one point in that game.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But I don't think they're going to have they're going to steamroll through the regular season. And ETN will probably be gone, and T. Higgins will probably be gone. But you still have Justin Ross. You still have Trevor Lawrence. They'll find another running back. and they'll steamroll the ACC, and that'll be kind of like their dress rehearsal for the playoffs. So they'll be back.
The season-long dress rehearsal.
They'll be back again next year, for sure. I don't really have any questions about Clemson next year.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Alabama? I don't feel like I kind of wish we could give them airtime like the national media does, but I guess we'll do a little bit.
Bama,
they're losing Tua, Judy, Harry Ruggs III, which
Bobby made sure to put the third in there
in our
just
document,
for emphasis.
just for emphasis. They have 5-star quarterback Bryce Young coming in, a strong linebacker group returning. The defense should be better than this year with more experience and another year under their belt of Saban's scheme and all that. Also, did you see his expression last night when he was a commentator? When Corso picked LSU to win with the headgear, it looked like Nick Saban was just like screaming internally. It was so funny. Anyway.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Najee Harris might come back. I've heard, well, the consensus report right now is that Najee Harris is coming back to Alabama. He has not announced anything officially.
Wouldn't be a bad idea for him, honestly, because
this running back class is absurd.
Yeah, because the running back class is absurd. And next year, there won't be many guys that are going to be able to compete. Like Chubba Hubbard and a couple other guys are going to be able to compete, but that's it. And he'll be like maybe the third or fourth, or maybe he can cement himself as the number one running back by next year. But this running back class this year is stacked with talent.
Yeah, I think Bama will be fine because you have Jalen Waddle coming back and Devonta Smith at receiver, and then you get the quarterback competition will be interesting because from what I saw from Mac Jones was fine, but he was terrible against Auburn.
It's not the Alabama standard.
No, and Talia, Tua's brother, is okay.
Unpolished.
I think they should give Bryce Young a chance because he has been like him and DJ Ugalele have been like the guys in that class at quarterback, and DJ Ugalele is going to Clemson, but people are really high. Scouts are really high on Bryce Young. He played for a really elite high school program at Mater Dei in California. And, I think like the formula for Alabama next year, regardless of who the quarterback is going to be to pound the ball with Najee Harris.
And they have the second best recruiting class in the country and first in the SEC next year.
Yeah, and think about the teams they had before Tua. They never really had an elite quarterback before Tua.
No, I mean, A.J. McCarron was probably their best quarterback.
He wasn't really like anything that special in college.
But that's not what they need him to be.
No, exactly. They'll be fine because they'll just go back to that formula they had before Tua, which isn't always the most entertaining to watch from a person who likes watching offensive football, but it's effective because the offensive line is going to be good. Najee Harris is going to be good. And the defense was poor by Alabama standards this year, but Dylan Moses is coming back next year, and pretty much the entire defense is returning. And, it's kind of like what Ohio State went through from last season to this season with the defense, because that 2018 Ohio State defense was abysmal, and they basically had the same lineup on defense this year, and they were one of the top 3 defenses in the country the entire season, because experience is just such a big thing for defensive players in college, because these 4-star kids are really talented, but there's still a huge learning curve on defense.
Especially anytime when you jump from a high school level to a college level or from college level to NFL, there's going to be a learning curve.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that'll be huge for Bama next year, and I think the defense will be back to what you're historically used to seeing. And the last team we want to look at is Ohio State quick, which, I'm as a fan, looking at all these guys leaving, I'm slightly concerned.
J.K. Dobbins, Chase Young, Jeff Okudah.
Yeah. Damon Arnett, Jordan Fuller.
Oh my God, the list goes on.
Who was a finalist, one of the best safeties in the country. Ben Vick. 3 starting receivers are gone. But you still have Chris Olave, who's going to be probably a top 5 receiver in the country next year. You have Garrett Wilson, who was a true freshman this year, who was the 2nd-ranked wide receiver in the freshman class this year, who had a really, really good season and he's a special player. And then you got the number one player in overall in the country who's a wide receiver, and Julian Fleming coming next year. So I think he'll have a chance to make an immediate impact. And then 2 more 4-star wide receiver prospects coming in. So I don't think they're hurting at receiver at all. The part I'm concerned about is running back, because Master Teague played a little bit he's played a little bit this entire season, and he looked like pretty good against like when they were up big. But he got some carries against Clemson with Dobbins going down with the ankle injury, and I don't know. He's not very like fast, because I'm used to watching like Dobbins shifty. He's big, but elusive, he's shifty and he's elusive. And Master Teague is a straight line runner. He's kind of like a worse version of Derrick Henry, which, you know, like that's a really high standard. Derrick Henry's a really high standard.
Now that's an incredible comparison.
He's like, no. He's like Derrick Henry, but not like, he's like a Derrick Henry style, but he's not like that fast, and he's not that big. He's just a straight downhill runner, which I'm not sure if that's ideal for the Ohio State offense. But they have other options with Steel Chambers and a couple other guys. But that'll be interesting to see. But they still have Justin Fields, who is the front runner for Heisman next year. So
I think Trevor Lawrence will have something to say about that.
He might.
But
we'll see.
All right, and on that note, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the NFL playoffs, give a little hometown that's whack. I think some people might already know what that's going to be about. Maybe we'll do a little hometown check-in and then pick-ems. All right.
And I want you to know something very important before I even start this song. Something very important before I even start this song. I can't feel no more. No, I can't feel no more. I told myself that I wasn't gonna pop no pills no more. No, I can't feel no more. I can't feel. No, I can't feel. I can't feel. Yeah, I can't feel. My body's numb. It's because I am so hurt. Yeah, I feel the pain in the rain. Tell me what's my time and why. Not my first merry-go-round. Not my first merry-go-round. Yeah, living life just with a curse. Before I go in the hearse. Told you that I love you first. Told you that I love you first. Ooh, nowadays I gotta swerve. Yeah, I took you out of the fur. Ooh, back then I saw no one but you. Gave you my racks and I splurged too. Calling my phone and I curved you. Hope this song really don't hurt you. AP froze. What? Time so slow. Yeah, hit reverse. Yeah, martial all of my code. Got buttons but leaving it open. So they can all see my shirt. Rico was all on my shirt. I can't believe I made it out the dirt. That was back then when my pockets was hurt. Pockets so stuffed that them to be hurt. Walk with the Goyard and say it's a bird. Louis scarf on me and look like a curtain. My main girl a doctor, my side girl a nurse. They keep on talking. They keep on talking. Hey. All these girls up in the club, why you looking at Vert? Why? I am not worried because when my come, they gonna need a white curtain. Your boyfriend ain't my bad and bougie Vert. She get me, so I call her a nerd. I can't feel. No, I can't feel. I can't feel. Yeah, I can't feel. My body's numb. It's because I am so hurt. Yeah, I feel the pain in the rain. Tell me what's my time and why. Not my first merry-go-round. Not my first merry-go-round. Yeah, living life just with a curse. Before I go in the hearse. Told you that I love you first. Told you that I love you first. Ooh, nowadays I gotta swerve. Yeah, I took you out of the fur. Ooh, I'm doing fine now. Yeah, I'm doing fine now. No, I do not need nobody now. No, I do not need nobody now. No, girl, don't make a sound. You don't wanna argue about body count. You don't wanna talk about body count. You don't wanna talk about body count. What is all this fighting all about? It's the bodies that I'm finding out. It's the bodies I don't know about. Some bodies like a murder trial. Used to say that it's word of mouth. But I like it so you're burning out. But I love it so you're burning out. Grandma and mom love you now. I'm so high, I ain't coming down. I'm so high, I ain't coming down. I'm so high, I ain't coming down. Hate me then, but they love me now. Yeah, talk to them. Love me then, but they hate me now. It don't matter, I got a baby now. I'm so I can't feel. No, I can't feel. I can't feel. Yeah, I can't feel. My body's numb. It's because I am so hurt. Yeah, I feel the pain in the rain. Tell me what's my time and why. Not my first merry-go-round. Not my first merry-go-round. Yeah. told you that I love you first. Oh, nowadays I gotta swerve. Yeah, I took you out of them fur boots. I'm doing fine now. Yeah, I'm doing fine now. No, I do not need nobody now. No, I do not need nobody now. I'm doing fine now. Yeah, I'm doing fine now. No, I do not need nobody now. No, I do not need nobody now. I can't feel.
Welcome back in to Kent and Coad. All right, let's talk about the NFL playoffs. Chiefs, Texans, pretty good game. I mean, actually, we were spoiled by a lot of good games this weekend, just like the wild card weekend. So the Texans in this one led 24-0 before the Chiefs came back, outscoring them, get this, 51-7 the rest of the game. Is this a choke on the Texans part, or is this just the Chiefs are good?
This is like the Texans thing to do, because think about it, the Texans always underperform in the playoffs. So I think I was stunned when they went up 24-0. I was shocked because I really thought they didn't have a chance in this game. I mean, the Bills are good, but they eked by the Bills, and the Chiefs are much better than the Bills. And I was stunned when they were up 24-0, but in classic Texan fashion, they managed to completely destroy any hope they had of winning that game. And I think people are calling for Bill O'Brien's job after this.
Really?
Yes. People are calling for Bill O'Brien's job. They're saying this is the end of Bill O'Brien in Houston. And, Deshaun Watson...
He's been there for, 6 years now? Also, just for a little bit of background knowledge here, they haven't made it past the divisional playoffs in their history. They were founded in 1999. They've only made the playoffs, I think, 10 times. Or no, that's not true. Not true. They made the playoffs 6 times. Sorry, they are 4-6 in postseason play and across their entire history. So it's interesting, but they've won. They also won their division 4 out of the last 5 years.
Well, who are you really competing against? I mean, you
Which,
got the Jags, who had a good season, but they're not.
In 2017, yeah.
They had one good season. They're not anything special.
That's actually the 1 year that Texas did not win the division.
You've got the Titans, who are. We'll get to the Titans later, but this is a major outlier here. The Titans are usually pretty bad, and then you've got the Colts, who have shown signs of life over the last few years, but Andrew Luck is that whole Andrew Luck just leaving is really threw a nail in the coffin this season. But I mean, the competition in the AFC South isn't necessarily a bad division, but when you look at trying to justify O'Brien's success by winning the division, I don't really think that's a great justification for that, especially when I think the expectations of the Texans as an organization are a lot higher than winning the division every year. I mean, you got Deshaun Watson.
That's true, and if you are a head coach in the NFL with a guy like Deshaun Watson
and DeAndre Hopkins at receiver,
and that defense, which is pretty good, even though they traded away Jadeveon Clowney, which some may say is not the right decision that should have been made, but J.J. Watt rehabbed his butt off to come back in that playoff game. He is still not as good as he used to be, but he's still two-time defensive NFL player of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have some good safety pieces. I mean, what is Tyrann Matthews? Is Tyrann Matthews on that team?
No, he's in the Chiefs now.
The Chiefs.
Well, you got Roby at corner, who's been good.
Right.
They traded for Garyon Conley, who struggled in Oakland, but he's been good this season. It's not you got Whitney Merciless still. It's not a great defense, but with those pieces, it should be better than I think what we've seen.
Yeah.
And honestly, offensively, I have questions sometimes with Bill O'Brien's scheme, because sometimes it just looks like Deshaun Watson is putting on the Superman cape and just making plays out of thin air. And
wait, we talked about this last week too.
I haven't seen I didn't rip on Deshaun Watson, but I was a little critical of him last week. I think I didn't give him a ton of props for that game against the Bills, but when you look at obviously when you look at the whole picture of Deshaun Watson as a player and his career so far in the NFL, he's been great, and he is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Maybe.
He's not a top 5 quarterback.
You don't think so?
No.
I think he's getting
I'm
there.
sorry, he's not.
I think he's getting there.
I wouldn't put
He's
him
definitely in
in
the
the
top
top
10. Really?
I wouldn't put him top 15.
Really? I'm usually hard on Deshaun Watson because I saw so much from him in his first year when he was before he tore his ACL. I saw a lot from him, so I've been hard on him since. But I still think he's.
Okay,
He
people say
cannot-
the same thing about Carson Wentz. Like, oh, Carson Wentz is, which, I mean, I've probably found myself susceptible of saying too. Oh, in 2017, when, he was really good before he tore his ACL, and, he was the NFL MVP before all that happened. Well, the fact is, he tore his ACL, stupid play, okay? And then he hasn't been that great since. So I just can't put Deshaun Watson up in the top 15.
You
No.
can't put him in the top 15. That's
Or
ridiculous.
no, top 15. Top 15. I can't put him top 10. That's for sure.
How? They have 10 quarterbacks that are better than Deshaun Watson.
Okay,
Do it
Patrick
right now.
Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Tom Brady.
Tom Brady is not better
Aaron
than Deshaun.
Rodgers.
Time out. I'm a Patriots fan. Tom Brady is not better than Deshaun Watson right now.
All right,
It's
fine.
not
Throw
even
him
close.
out. Okay, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees. Then what am I at? Like
Drew
now,
Brees.
6?
I
5?
can see Drew Brees.
Thank you.
I might even argue that he's better than Drew Brees. I know Drew Brees set all those records this year, but he's also got
No,
okay.
he is
Maybe
not
that's
better
a
than
bold
Drew Brees.
argument.
No way.
He might not be right now, but he's getting close, and he will be by the end of his career. His stats.
You think Deshaun Watson will be better than Drew Brees by the end of his career?
Yes, his stats.
What?
His stats might not be better than Drew Brees because Drew Brees has played for so long in a very typically pass-heavy offense. But I think when
Ryan Tannehill right now is better than Deshaun Watson.
that is not true, dude. What are you talking about? He threw for 88 yards last game, and I don't even know what you're saying right now. Dude, you just said Ryan Tannehill is better than Deshaun.
Okay, now
you did not say
here's your
that.
list.
You
Here's
did
your
not
list.
say that.
Here's your list. I'm making it up. Here's your list. Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. Okay, I can't put Phillip Rivers there. Matt Ryan.
That is, oh my, that is horrible. You put Matt Ryan ahead of Deshaun Watson. You cannot be serious.
You can't tell me that Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback.
Top 5 is bold, but top 10 is not that bold.
You said he was a top 5
I
quarterback.
said top 5. That was a little hyperbolic.
Thank you.
That was maybe a little hyperbolic, but
So we both agree he's in our top 10.
yeah, but he's
Thank
close.
you.
He's close to the top 5 for me.
No. He's like 8. Or not.
I think he's 6 or 7.
Anyway, let's talk
Keep
about
going
a
with your
quarterback.
list, though.
Actually,
You know what? I can't listen to your list anymore. So let's just keep it.
no, let's talk about a quarterback who is in a lot of people's top 5, deservedly so. Patrick Mahomes. 235 yards, 5 touchdowns, including 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter. Man's insane. I don't know how to say it anymore. The guy's incredible. I personally think he's going to have a really long career in the NFL, which I think a lot of people would agree with as well. So that's not.
Well, yeah,
a hot
obviously,
take.
yeah.
But
That's not a hot take.
no, it's not a hot take. Take it back. Whatever. No. Where am I going with this? Actually, I don't know. Let's keep going. Okay.
Wait, what?
I don't know where I'm going with that. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Okay. It's been a long day. All right.
That's fair enough.
My first
That's
class was
fair.
at 11. It's been a long day.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about Titans and Ravens. Surprise upset. Titans 28, Ravens 12. Ryan Tannehill throws for 88 yards, 73 in the last game.
But he's
against
better than
Patriots.
Deshaun Watson somehow. But he's somehow better than Deshaun Watson.
All right, that might have been a little advised.
Yep.
Okay. But Derrick Henry continues to dominate. He rushed for 195 yards on 30 carries, and he also threw for a touchdown. I think there are a lot of teams in the league out there that could use a guy like the Derrick Henry as their quarterback.
Well, his
kidding,
QBR,
I'm kidding.
was 100. But
I'm kidding, I'm
I mean,
kidding.
Bobby might think he's better than Deshaun Watson at this point. I don't know. That might be.
Wow.
That could be your next take.
I
The
know.
direction you're
I
trending.
deserve that one. It's true. I deserve it. I deserve it. I deserve it. Overall, highly impressive performance from the Titans on the defensive side of the ball, holding Lamar Jackson forcing Lamar Jackson into 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and a fumble lost. You don't see that from him this season.
No.
The guy's the MVP. And
No,
you hold the
he
MVP to
I mean, he still threw for over 300 yards and rushed for over
300 yards and over 100 yards rushing. The first quarterback, I think in divisional playoffs or maybe the NFL playoffs to do that in a game. But that's a further testament to the Chiefs or to the Titans defense, and that they held him, this prolific player, to
12 points.
to 12 points,
And
even
forced 3
after he
turnovers.
posted that stat line.
Yeah.
So what chance on a scale of 1 to 10 would you give the Titans to reach the Super Bowl next week?
I am going to ride the Titans wave. I think they're going to win, Bobby. They have so much momentum right now. And, I think this is the thing. It's a lot to go to Foxborough and beat the Patriots, to go into Baltimore and beat the Ravens, and then to go into Kansas City and beat the Chiefs. That's a lot to ask 3 weeks in a row. But they have
a lot to ask to have them beat the Patriots. Or no, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
They have so much momentum.
Your argument.
They have so much momentum. That's a daunting challenge, and that's a lot of wear and tear physically and mentally from the last 2 weeks.
So are you saying they're going to win or not?
No, I think they're going to win. I'm saying despite that all, despite the challenge of those 3 games and the wear and tear of the last 2 weeks, they have so much momentum, and they clearly have a formula to win. It's just pounded up your throat with Derrick Henry, who looks virtually unstoppable. He is virtually unstoppable.
No, he is. I mean, and one of my favorite quotes of the week, or the week before the game, the Ravens-Titans game, was when, what's his name? The safety for the Ravens. Earl Thomas III said that, those guys, being the Patriots, weren't that interested in tackling Derrick Henry.
You cannot tackle.
And then Derrick Henry stiff-arms the man and turns him into a lead blocker for him. I love that moment. Sometimes karma in sports is just so perfect. That's a great moment right there.
Yeah, and he looks unstoppable.
But I don't give the chance.
Do you think the Chiefs are going to be able to stop Derrick Henry? Their defense stinks.
No, but you have Patrick Mahomes, and
they're going to have to outscore him.
Okay,
but
Derrick Henry at worst, Derrick Henry rushes for 200 yards at worst and 2 touchdowns.
Yes, probably.
That's 2 scores. And if you hold Tannehill to what they did before, the Chiefs' offense is very capable of winning in a shootout game.
You're missing a key point, because you could have said the same argument about the Ravens last week, and look what happened. The Ravens had a better offense than the Chiefs did this year, and they held them to 12 points, completely shut down the MVP, and the Ravens had nothing against the defense. And the thing about running the ball...
Is it going to happen 3 weeks in a row?
The thing about running the ball with Derrick Henry is that it keeps the other team's offense off the field, and it burns clock. And as he keeps running it and running it and running it, it just slowly wears down the defense, and you get sick of that. And you keep the other team off the field, and you make the other quarterbacks frustrated. I think Lamar Jackson was probably pretty frustrated sitting on the sidelines while Derrick Henry's running the ball.
Oh, I mean, he was. I mean, you look at the broadcast of the game, he was pretty frustrated.
Yeah.
But I would love to see a parade down Broadway here in Nashville as much as the next guy with the Titans winning. But I just don't think it's going to happen. And it's unfortunate. I don't think it's going to happen, though. All right. Let's transition into NFC playoffs real quick. Let's get some quick observations. 49ers 27, Vikings 10. 49ers advance to the NFC Championship game, in which they will host the Packers. Jimmy Garoppolo does all they need him to do. Yeah. Throws 11 of 19, 131 yards, a touchdown, and interception. That's a game manager at best, but he does what he needs to do, and they win games.
It's a similar...
But do you trust him in an NFC Championship game that he has never been in a situation he has never been in, to outplay a guy like Aaron Rodgers? I understand that the Packers defense is going up against him, he's going against and then Aaron Rodgers is going against 49ers defense, but whatever. Do you trust him to outplay Aaron Rodgers in that next game?
I don't, but I don't think he will even have to outplay Aaron Rodgers. I think the 49ers formula is similar to the Titans. I think that
they run a running back by committee.
It's the same. It's a similar formula, but they run running back by committee instead of just having one guy like Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. Right? It's run heavy offense.
Kevin Coleman.
It's play action. And it's stingy defense, which the Titans, they haven't had the stingiest defense.
It's old school football.
The Titans haven't had the stingiest defense throughout the season, but the last 2 weeks, I mean, it's not that hard to defend the Patriots, but last week was really, really impressive. So it's a really similar formula for both of them, and I think the recipe for the 49ers has been so good this year with just being able to run the ball so effectively. I don't think Jimmy G is going to have to do that much against against Aaron Rodgers, I think they're going to be up by a decent amount at halftime, and they're going to be able to run the ball in the second half. If the problem is if it's close and they get to the point where they can't run the ball anymore, then they're
going to rely on Jimmy.
Yeah.
But if Aaron Rodgers has a vintage Aaron Rodgers game, then I don't think that the 49ers stand much of a chance. When Aaron Rodgers is on, Aaron Rodgers is lethal.
That is true.
So if he has one of those games, and I certainly believe he might, because he realizes that his window's closing, and this is one of his last chances that he has at age 36 to potentially win a Super Bowl.
He could, but the question is, can he actually do it? Because I've seen
that's what's to be seen in the game.
He has looked.
I mean, I'm not an NFL offensive coordinator.
He's looked.
Although that would be cool.
Uncharacteristically inconsistent this year. Am I allowed to say that about Aaron Rodgers? I think
uncharacteristically inconsistent. I'm just trying to make sure I understand what that means.
He's usually so consistent, and he makes every throw. Like when you watch Aaron Rodgers play, he's throughout his career been able to make so many throws. That's just like Aaron Rodgers is known for being able to consistently make elite throws that only maybe him and Patrick Mahomes and Carson Wentz can make.
Mm-hmm.
Like those type of elite level throws that make you go wow. And this season I haven't seen as much. I've seen flashes of it. I saw flashes of it against Seattle, but I have not seen Aaron Rodgers consistently make those elite level down the field throws, in a tight window throws, sidearm throws that you're so used to seeing him make consistently.
Well, and also another thing that, I mean, I think the numbers are there. I think he was 26 touchdowns this season, 4 interceptions, over 4,000 yards again. But to your point, I will take this out of my argument. To your point, the offense was concentrated a lot in that game against the Seahawks on 3 different guys. On Devontae Parker. Did I say it right? No, that's Miami. Damn. Not Devontae Parker.
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams. There we go. Devontae Adams. And Jimmy Graham and another guy who you mentioned to me in our previous meetings, which I don't
Aaron
remember.
Jones or Geronimo Allison?
Aaron Jones, right? Didn't you mention
Aaron
that?
Jones, yeah, but Aaron
the
Jones.
majority of their offense came from, yeah.
From the majority of the offense comes from the majority of the receiving offense comes from Devontae Adams, this is why I think the 49ers are going to win. You get the formula you've been using all year. You run the ball effectively. You let Jimmy G do his thing on play action. You get up. You jump out to an early lead, and then the thing for Green Bay that's going to be key is, one, getting Aaron Jones to run the ball consistently and get good gains on first down and maybe second down too, which is going to be really hard against that defensive line for San Francisco. And they're going to have to find another reliable target to throw the ball to, because you know that Richard Sherman is probably going to just follow Devontae Adams the entire game.
Exactly.
And that secondary is much, much stingier than what they faced against Seattle last week. And so somebody in that receiving core is going to have to step up and make plays and get the second leading receiver in targets had 1 target last week.
Mm-hmm.
1 target. You got 4 targets for Jimmy Graham, who's sometimes there, he's sometimes not. And then you got 2 targets for Aaron Jones, and the next receiver has 1 target. So somebody is going to have to step up if they want to win that game in San Francisco.
All right, we shall see if it happens. All right, when we come back from break, we'll talk about our That's Whack. We'll do a very, very quick version of the hometown check-in, and we'll do our pick'ems and assess some hot takes, and then we out.
In the night, I hear him talk, the coldest story ever told. Somewhere far along this road, he lost his soul to a woman so heartless. How could you be so heartless? Oh, how could you be so heartless? How could you be so cold as the winter wind when it breeze, yo? Just remember that you talking to me, though. You need to watch the way you talking to me, yo. I mean, after all the things that we've been through, I mean, after all the things we got into. Hey, yo, I know what some things that you ain't told me. Hey, yo, I did some things
but that's the old me. And now you wanna get me back and you gon' show me. So you walk around like you don't know me. You got a new friend, well I got homies, but in the end it's still so lonely. In the night I hear him talk, the coldest story ever told. Somewhere far along this road he lost his soul to a woman so heartless. How could you be so heartless? Oh, how could you be so heartless? How could you be so Dr. Evil? You're bringing out a side of me that I don't know. I decided we weren't gonna speak, so why we up 3 a.m. on the phone? Why do she be so mad at me for? Homie, I don't know, she's hot and cold. I won't stop, won't mess my groove up, cause I already know how this thing go. You run and tell your friends that you're leaving me. They say that they don't see what you see in me. You wait a couple months, then you gon' see you'll never find nobody better than me. In the night I hear him talk, the coldest story ever told. Somewhere far along this road he lost his soul to a woman so heartless. How could you be so heartless? Oh, how could you be so heartless? Talking, 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 talk. Baby, let's just knock it off. They don't know what we've been through. They don't know about me and you. So I got something new to see, and you just gon' keep hating me, and we just gon' be enemies. I know you can't believe I could just leave it wrong, and you can't make it right. I'm gon' take off tonight into the night. I hear him talk, the coldest story ever told. Somewhere far along this road he lost his soul to a woman so heartless. How could you be so heartless? Oh, how could you be so heartless?
All right, Nathan, it's time for the 5-minute warning, which is something we just came up with for this show, but I like it. All right,
do we even really know what the 5-minute warning is yet?
No.
Okay.
Okay, we're kind of making it up as we go along. So let's start with That's Whack. This one hits hard. So
It's tough. It's
Vanderbilt
tough to watch.
loses their top scorer and top draft prospect, Aaron Nesmith, to a stress fracture for the season, most likely, to a stress fracture in his foot. This is the second straight year that the Commodores have lost their top scorer and potential top draft pick to an injury. Darius Garland obviously being the last one.
And Aaron
last year.
Nesmith got hurt last year too.
He did. So
Yeah.
this is crushing.
This is most likely the end of Aaron Nesmith's Vanderbilt career.
I think he'll
I
declare.
would say-
I if I were him, I would declare.
I would declare, which stinks to see because
As a
he
fan,
was
all you want to see is watching
really fun,
threes.
really fun to watch. He shot over 50% from 3 this year.
Yeah,
And
he was what, fifth in the nation in that? Incredible.
Yeah, it was crazy. So that's really disappointing to see. You still got Saban though, so
Saban is a beast, but teams
Saban's a beast.
are gonna cue in on Saban
That's true.
more.
That's the problem.
And that the
The
floor is
problem
going to
is
shrink.
now-
And you saw that in the last game. The floor is going to shrink
Yes.
for Vanderbilt.
Yes.
And the freshman guys are going to have to step up, and it's going to be hard because it's going to be hard because they're going to be looking for shots. But they're not going to be there because the floor is small because they're not drawing as much attention to. Yeah, you know what I mean.
it's a problem. It's a problem, because Nesmith and Saban Lee were both really good scorers, and
Yeah.
when you have, even though Saban was kind of in that 6-man role, they would be on the floor with each other
A lot of the time.
They
They play a lot of minutes together.
It's going to be tough now without that. Really, someone's going to have to step up and start scoring a decent amount of points because it's really tough without that second scoring threat to be consistently good, especially as you start to go into conference play here. It'll be difficult, I think.
Yeah. All right. since in the interest of time, let's skip right to the pick'ems. 49ers, Packers, who you got?
Well, like I said before, I like the 49ers in this one. I don't know. I want to see Aaron Rodgers prove me wrong because I want to see him return to what he used to be, but I have to go with the 49ers.
I'm going to go Packers on this one. I think Aaron Rodgers understands the heat of the moment, that the Father Time is catching up to him, and he's going to have an outstanding game. Chiefs, Titans. That's your cue.
Let's go Titans, baby. Tighten up.
Tighten up.
I got the Titans.
I got to go Chiefs. Andy Reid does not want to miss this opportunity to go to another Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, he had the warm-up last year. He's going to carry them to the Super Bowl this year. And honestly, that Super Bowl, whoever they end up, whatever the combination of matchups is going to be a really good game. Nets, Sixers.
Yeah. Well, since
Am I going to pick against my own team here?
Are you? I was going to definitely pick against your team because I have a strong.
Actually, I will too. We've been really shaky.
Strong disliking for this. You know how I feel about the 76ers.
Well, you're a Bucks fan.
And
you'll just
Kyrie was so good when he came back last year. Although he was playing the Hawks, so I don't know how much I could read into that. But Kyrie's back, and he's looks pretty good. So I'll go the Nets here.
I'm going to go Nets as well. I don't trust my team right now. We're very inconsistent. Celtics, Bucks.
Got to go with the Bucks. They've only lost 6 games all year, and they're not going to lose to the Celtics.
I'm going to go Bucks too. I don't think Celtics are legit. I don't have any numbers backing that up, but it's good. It's called a quality take right there. Lakers, Rockets. Give me the Lake Show.
The Lake Show. I got the Lake Show too. I really don't trust the Rockets at all.
Well, I feel like the only way they win is if James Harden drops 60.
They have 2 alpha dogs on the team who
I
know that Westbrook and Harden played together in Oklahoma City, but that was a long time ago. In NBA yearland, that's like a long time ago.
Forever ago.
And they're both much different players than they used to be, and they're both used to being the alpha dog now. And I don't. Whatever the Rockets have going on with their weird analytics with 3-point shooting and whatever just ceases to work in big games and in the playoffs, and I just it's kind of disappointing to watch.
It's a shame to watch.
It is.
All right, so we're going to quickly assess our hot takes in the last little bit of time we have left. Okay, from last week. So Ravens and Titans. Nathan, you had said Ravens. You lost. I said Ravens. I lost, and Mark had said Ravens. We all lost. Good for us. Chiefs versus Texans. Nate, you had said Chiefs. I had said Chiefs. Mark had Chiefs.
We all won.
Good for us.
There we go. Bounce back.
49ers, Vikings.
You went with the Vikings.
Yeah. Nathan had the 49ers, and Mark, I believe, had the Vikings as well.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't?
Mark had the 49ers.
Oh, he's the 49ers?
Smart
okay,
man.
He's giving me a look
man.
right now. Like, how could you dare put those words in my mouth? Packers versus Seahawks. I had the Packers. You had the Seahawks. And Mark had the Seahawks. Hold this L, you guys. Lakers and Mavs, our random NBA game of the week.
I went with the Lakers. I got it right. You guys both went with the Mavs.
Oh, good.
So
Good stuff.
I think I'm catching up to you, Bobby. We're going to have to look at the records this week. And see.
Yeah, we'll have to. We'll
it would have helped if
out.
you had written your predictions down for the week before, because I think I beat you. So
there's probably a reason why I didn't write my predictions down that week.
You accidentally forgot to.
I accidentally did. All right. Thank you for listening into this edition. Next week, Mark will be joining us. Thank you all for listening.